Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. Again, I'm your co-host, Mike Bailey, along with Ellen DePlacido. Ellen, hello there.
Hi, Mike.
What are we going to talk about today? I had to say that one
Well,
more time.
okay, we're going to talk about planning for next year. What
Oh,
went right, what didn't go so well. But
yeah, okay.
yeah, got to
Yeah.
take a look at that.
Yeah, I like to plan, you know, uh, for the following year's garden. In fact, have already started, okay, even down at Emmaus, okay, and
Hmm.
even here at home as to, okay, thinking to myself, what went right, what went wrong, how I'd like to rearrange some things and, to get it to work a little bit better, um, you know, y- and things like that. So, but what went real right in our garden? Let's talk about Emmaus, okay?
Okay,
What
all right.
what went right down there, Ellen? A lot of things, right?
Well, a lot of things. We have a wonderful, wonderful harvest at Emmaus this year. Um, First of all, our zucchini and our summer squash are doing so well. They're still producing fruit.
Yeah.
And like we said before, we're recording this at the end of September. So we just think that's great.
Yeah, those plants still look pretty good. I'm
Yeah, they
surprised.
do.
You
And
know.
we every once in a while we look down and we see a zucchini that we had missed because it's so nice and green. We didn't see it. Some of them are getting a little too big, but they're still good.
Oh, yeah.
As far as our eggplants and our tomatoes, um, just seems like our eggplants and our tomatoes are never ending. They're still producing. We're probably harvesting eggplants and tomatoes a couple times a week and taking them into the food pantry, and it's just exciting to see that.
Talk, Ellen.
Um,
Ellen, listen though. Talk about things that don't quit. Okay. I mean
yeah,
those
yeah.
pole beans, okay,
Oh,
that we have in the garden that we have grown
yes.
on arbors and on the fence. That's something
Hmm.
I've never seen beans be so productive in my life. We've already gotten over 150 pounds of green beans. That's a lot of
Yes.
green beans.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I like even the other day I spent an hour and a half just picking green beans.
I
And
was I was going to say we lose Mike every once in a while in the green bean arbor because that seems to be his job when we get down there.
and the garlic was wonderful too, wasn't it?
It was a great harvest. And remember, garlic's easy to grow. It has few diseases, no pests,
Right.
hardly ever, because nobody likes to eat the garlic or no animals. So, plant garlic. It's a great, great crop to
Yeah,
plant.
and the beets did fine too, but the onions
Hmm.
did so much better this year. And I really think
Yes, they
when we
did.
got them in
Hmm.
early, we
Hmm.
kept them watered and we fed them a
Hmm.
couple times before
Right.
that first day of summer when they start to bulb up that equinox.
Right.
Okay, so
Hmm. Hmm.
we're real pleased. So we're going to try to make sure we
Right.
focus in on it again next
Yeah.
year. But yeah,
And our winter squash is still growing too. It's going
yeah,
to be pretty nice, once the weather gets a little colder and, we might, looks like we're going to have a good winter squash harvest this
yeah,
year.
yeah. We don't like to harvest it until it's been touched by some cold
No,
weather because that
right.
really kind of
Hmm.
sweetens things up. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
I even tried to tell Ellen I'm a little sweeter in the fall too. Okay. I'll
I
go,
don't believe it,
but
but
yeah, what didn't
I'll ask your wife.
yeah, what didn't go so well? Okay. You know, peppers. I still
Yeah.
would like to have more sweet peppers. Okay. I mean,
Yes.
the sweet bananas did very well. Cucumbers were fine, but still we struggle with
The
those fungal disease
diseases.
and the carrots.
Hmm.
We kind of dropped the ball on the carrots, tell you the truth. You ever drop the ball on
Hmm.
something in your garden? Okay, we kind of got them started a little bit too late because we were fooling with other things, and then it got
Yeah.
really difficult to germinate some additional ones. And lettuce and spinach, we really didn't do any of that this year, did we? Because
No,
they
we
they
didn't.
were being provided by somebody else. But
Right.
we did plant some collards for the first time,
Hmm.
and
First time.
they're doing very well. But we're struggling with aphids on our
Aphids.
collards.
Right. Right.
Potatoes we didn't bother with this year, and peas. We didn't have any peas either, did we? It's been a long
We
time. It's
didn't have good
been
peas this year.
a long
No.
growing
Hmm.
season. No, but
Hmm.
what about these pole beans and this vertical garden thing? Can you say few things about that, Ellen, please?
Well, I think if people aren't familiar with vertical gardening, it's a good way to plant your peas, your beans, your cucumbers, tomatoes, and even some winter squash and put those on some sort of vertical support. You can make those supports out of like a TP design. We used bamboo poles. You can make arbors like we did, or use the fencing. If you have fencing around your garden, just plant them so they grow up along that fence. And you can even use branches, off of trees. If they're large enough and strong enough, you can push them into the ground and use those as supports too. And we've talked about the advantage of vertical gardening in the past. There's a lot of vegetables that really prefer to grow on vertically or on some sort of climber, they're climbers. And that has decreased our pest and disease problems. Our productivity, like we mentioned, the pole beans,
Mm-hmm.
they're great for growing on a vertical support, and it's easy to pick them. The fruit is clean, and the vegetables are also, they have less markings on them, and they're also clean, once you pick them. So start thinking about this approach, because you need to know where you're going to put that vertical support, what kind of supports you're going to use, and have it there when you plant your vegetables.
Yeah. And another thing I like to think about as I get to this time of year is how might I make the garden next year a little bit more productive, but also less work.
Less work.
Okay. I'm your lazy gardener, right? Okay. And plant in the early season now, and start preparing for sites for next year. You can do a lot of preparation, like we talked in the last session about, for those early crops, getting those sites semi-prepared for next year. Well, also, don't be afraid to use some mulch next year. Have that available to put around your peppers and your tomatoes and your eggplants. As I said, really kind of keeps the weeds down. One thing we don't like to do at Emmaus, we don't like to weed, and we do very little of it.
And we don't weed.
No,
I mean,
we
really, we don't in our main garden.
Yeah,
because of the mulching.
And focus on some of the things that your family has enjoyed this past year. Some of the fruits and vegetables that they like to eat, and leave those other things out. And maybe wait on some planting like your broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage. Maybe make that a fall crop. I mean, that's what I did this year. I didn't plant some of that stuff until middle of August. And I tell you, it is beautiful now, okay?
Yeah.
I got some nice big heads of cabbage, and my broccoli's ready to head up and stuff like that. So that's good.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
So what other improvements, might we plan for next year, Ellen? Maybe down at
Well,
Emmaus.
can I also mention some problems I've had in my home garden?
Yes.
And I have very, very small home garden, but I usually get enough tomatoes to can tomatoes for myself, my daughter, my stepdaughter, my sister-in-law. This year, I got nothing. And I don't know why, but it could have been the soil. I'm not sure. Or maybe the plants weren't very good when I bought them. I'm not real sure. So be careful. But some improvements that we might plan for next year's garden at Emmaus, we're still working on our irrigation system, right, Mike?
Yeah, we're fine-tuning that. When it worked fine. It was a great labor saver. We also might put in another arbor or two, for those things that we like to have climb for increasing productivity and ease of harvesting. We're also going to kind of continue to work on improving, issues with cucumbers and sweet peppers. That's my mission for next year.
Right.
And then, we talked about trying to maintain our tomato and green bean production, which is really going to be difficult, but we'll give it a shot.
I don't know if we can match this year's or not.
I'm just glad those weren't bush beans that I had to pick. Picking 14 pounds of bush beans, I'm not sure I'd ever straighten up again. So, okay, Ellen, we're way past our time, so thank you for listening, and please join us next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.